Welcome to the new episode of the Frog Manual, and today, as promised some time ago, we are going to look on the MCX in MWS systems. I said in one of the previous Frog manuals, actually I think this was Frog Appendix, when there was the information about the release of the second generation of the conversions for the MWS, that they are kind of improved to allow for assembly in this kind of guns, like the MCXs. And I actually have already a Toxicant on my channel in the Frog Customs. I had no opportunity to record the assembly of the conversion because, let's say, this was like a prototype made of the first generation. So in that video I said that I will make a separate video and I have an MCX in my hands to show you what is the specific thing you need to do in order to assemble the second generation conversion to this gun. And here we go. What I have here is the Salvo Precision MCX. Very nice, very dark curve. This is in MWS system, obviously, and I'm gonna convert it to the HPA with my second generation conversion, right? So what I want to say is that for the Toxicant you need to do exactly the same, and for all the MCXs in MWS system, I think there would be few more manufacturers popping up sooner or later. You would basically do the exact same thing. So there are three things that are different in the assembly of this type of gun compared to like an M4 from TM. And for the M4 from TM, the manual is already online. So this video will be like a supplement, like an appendix to that original video to show you what is different, what special tricks you have to use here. And there will be three tricks. The first one, off we go, is related to the integrated trigger guard, and I won't be talking about it much in this video because I already recorded a guide how to work with this metal integrated trigger guard based on the EMG Ghetto Blaster. Yeah, it's a different shape of the trigger guard, but you do the exact same thing and you route the hose the exact same way. And the conversion for this type of assembly will come in this kind of version where there is a fixed screwed connector on the bottom for the hose, because bending it here could cause some leakage. Yeah, so this is all explained in a separate video. I will link it in the description. Watch it, do as it says. I will show the final result here at the end of the video too, and I assemble the complete gun just for reference. I don't want to show the complete assembly all over again for this hose because I want to save your time. Yeah, I'm kind of having issues with recording short videos. They are always very long and take your time away from your, wife, kids, girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever, dog, frog. The first thing, integrated trigger guard. See the guide in the description. Now the second thing, which is inside, I will need to disassemble the upper receiver and I will take off the stock. It will be easier to maneuver. Yeah? So one screw and two pins. And here we are. We can take out the charging handle and the slide also. Let's put them here aside. Let them lie and wait. The frog will watch them so that they don't escape, right? Okay, so we now are here in this area and you see there is this black plate. And the Toxicant is the same. It also has this kind of plate, and this plate, if you have the original TM magazine, the feeding lips are kind of moved backwards, let's say, and there is a step here in the front. I hope you can see it, and this step kind of fits to this plate. Okay, and in the original M4 assembly video for the TM, I show how to remove like a small piece of metal that sticks out in here, which I will actually link right now so that you have the relation to what I'm talking about. So this is that piece that you remove it, and here I already removed it. This is from the old video and you can see how it looks like when removed. So here we need to do a similar thing, but instead of this one tab sticking out, we have this whole plate. We won't take it out, we won't do anything to the this is maybe not necessary, but we need to move this whole wall of this plate to the inside, because if I look on the FMAG, FMAG is practically flat from the front, yeah? So if I would have the conversion assembled and I try to assemble the FMAG, this will collide with the feeding lips. And the position of feeding lips is given by all the guns that the FMAG works with, because this is one universal magazine that works with MWS systems, GHK, VFC, WE, WA, everything that should run on this magazine and has a TheFrogEngineer conversion will work just with a single type. If I briefly show it from this perspective, you see how this plate goes into the magwell, and basically I want the plate to not obscure the magwell at all. Yeah, I want it to be not visible. If I look along the edge in this, let's say, bottom view, I want the plate to be hidden. What does it mean in practice is that I will need to mill or like file, let's say like 2.5-3 millimeters of that plate into the receiver, yeah? And of course the best way here is to remove the chamber from the gun, because there is no distance, so if you kind of patch it and so on and try to remove this by some Dremel tool or on a milling machine if you have the access to, or you want to bring it to a workshop, it will not end well, so to say, yeah, because the debris will fly in there. So depending on the type of the MCX you have, this could be a tiny bit different, but generally the rule is quite simple. We remove the handguard. These two screws I don't need to touch because they hold this loop for the pin, yeah, so this is removed. And then I have two screws in here that hold barrel in place. So I can remove them, and they are numbered because obviously in a real firearm for maximum precision it's important how you screw them, in which order, what the torque is, yeah, and so on. But in an airsoft gun probably we can, you know, give no shit about this. And bam, when you release it here, they actually use some washers. I believe in Toxicam there were no washers. It was some time ago, I don't fully remember. Okay, and when I remove it, I can take these clamps to the side, right? And now I should be able to pull out the whole barrel assembly. This one is actually quite tight, which is good for the gun. And I need to use some force, maybe wiggle it a bit, you see. And it came out with the top part of the chamber too. And what is left, I will put it out of the screen. And what is left is basically an empty receiver, right? I can patch it with the tissues and so on anyway, because I want to save the time for the cleanup. If you have a lot of lube in the gun, remove it, because the debris will stick to it and it will be difficult to clean it later. And I will do the job on that part, and I will be back to show you the result. I'll do it off screen. And here we go. This is, you see, the silver part is the one I milled off, and it should be fine now. So if I assemble it here and I show it from the bottom, you see that right now that plate is not visible, yeah? So this is exactly what I need. And when I do this thing, then I can assemble the upper back, meaning put the barrel in and, you know, all the components exactly the opposite as I did it previously to disassemble it. So I'll do it off screen, and then we will proceed to the last trick we need to do. Okay, now the magazine is not needed anymore, and I can switch to the lower receiver. So what will be the trick? The trick is related to this magazine release button, yeah? You see this magazine button, it stands downwards. It's much bigger than the regular AR-15 button. And if you imagine, when the conversion is there, assembled, it's more or less on this level. When you press this button, it goes into the receiver. I will take it apart and show it in a little more detail in a second. So when you would press it to release the magazine, basically you would hit the base of the conversion, yeah, the attachment point. So we will do a trick here, but before I am able to fully explain the trick, I need to take it apart, and this is regular MWS type disassembly. So we need to pull out the mag catch here, just pull it to this side and twist it, you know, of course counterclockwise, At first it might be a little tricky to, you know, go around the bolt catch, but as you go it's easier and easier because the screw comes out. It came out, so now the button, so that it doesn't shoot out and kill some birds or whoever. Then the fire selector, we can take it out from this side. There is a tiny screw in here, and if I loosen it just enough, I'm able to pull off the selector, and then I should be able to push out the whole lever. If there is some issue with it, you know, it doesn't want to come out, just keep pushing and rotate and it will pop out sooner or later. Okay, then there is one screw here in the rear. I guess I don't really need to explain it in that much detail. Anyway, I recommend you watch that main M4 disassembly video, right? And there is also the disassembly of the trigger box shown, so there won't be anything new here. There is this funny washer in the salvo, and then in this area there is a pin that I need to punch out, and the pin should go out that way. Okay, so the pin is out. It has this hardcore cutting into the material side, and you don't want to push that side through the part, right? So I knew it's on that side because I already worked with this kind of gun, and usually it's to that side. But if you struggle, always, you know, try to recognize if this feature, these teeth or whatever we call it, are on the side that you are trying to push it out to. Yeah, so if that would not go this way, maybe you can try back, like from the other side, because, you know, mistakes can happen. Somebody could have disassembled it differently. Okay, so now the receiver is here, and look, here there is actually a groove for that magazine button, yeah, because it's so low in the receiver. So if I take the button and I put it in here, you see that it moves in that groove. It takes all the place till the very bottom of the receiver, right? And if I put the conversion this way, you see that it blocks the button. The button is there and I'm not able to push it in all the way, and I won't be able to assemble it. To release the magazine, it should be okay because the button goes, like you see, all the way into the receiver, right? So there is no issue, it's flat. But I have to pull it like very deeply in order to be able to assemble the mag catch back to the gun, yeah, which now I will not be able to do after I assemble my conversion here. And additionally, if I look on how the trigger box looks like, you see that this whole area here, on a half of it, is missing, right? And in the old generation MWS conversion, the assembly was done by putting this under the trigger box, and then the trigger box should push on the conversion to hold it stiffly in place, right? So here you see I'm missing half of the trigger box. It would be compromise. And actually in Toxicant, the trigger box was complete, but it had this button shaped hole all the way deep in there, yeah? So I would have to cut off a piece of that trigger box so that conversion can fit underneath, and then there would be nothing to support it from the top. So this is the reason why in the new conversion you have those two holes for the screws, because right now I don't need to push with the trigger box on the conversion to make it stiff, because it will be permanently screwed to the receiver, and even without the trigger box it will retain proper position, right? So I explained it, let's say, by words in that appendix video, and here I will show you how it's basically assembled. And I will go in steps. So I will first assemble the conversion, show you how it looks like when assembled, so to say. Of course, for this I will need to make a cutout on the trigger box, and then after I finish this and I will be reassembling the gun, I will show you the trick with the mag catch. So for now, going off screen to modify the trigger box, as I said, and then screw in the conversion and show you the result. Okay, this is how it goes. I have the magazine in the magwell, and I have my assembled already conversion inserted from the top, right? And you can see those two holes are in there, yeah, here, one and the second one. And I will just mark the position of those holes with some sharp pin or like needle or whatever, and then I will drill there the M2.5 holes. Yeah, of course the thread has to be M2.5, so I will go for the 2.05 diameter of the hole, depth 10 millimeters. I will drill them in those positions, and then I will be able to secure the conversion in place with those two screws, and it will have the proper position in relation to the magazine, receiver, and the nozzle, of course. And as I said, the screw will be the M2.5, so those holes in the conversion, you see, they are the 2.5, actually they are like 2.6 diameter, yeah? So to make a good positioning, really in the center of the hole, you can actually use a drill of 2.5 millimeter diameter, put it in there, and just, you know, rotate it like very quickly once or twice. Not to drill a hole, but to mark the position with a tip. Yeah, so let's do it. And now I have two silver points, and if I take the mag and the conversion out, you still can see the points there, and this is exactly where I'm gonna do the 2.05 hole right now, 10 millimeters deep, maybe 12, but you have to be careful not to, you know, drill through in this area, yeah, because these holes, if I look from the top, they are more or less aligned with the wall for the button here. So, you know, it's here, but be careful, yeah? So looking there, you can see already the two holes, just where they should be. And on the table, you can already see the next step coming, right? So I have here the tapping tool, and I have the oil. The method is exactly the same as for all these thread actions I do in the conversions, but I think in the original MWS video I don't talk about this, so I'll explain it quickly here. Basically, you don't want to just take a dry threading tapping tool and go and thread it, because it can jam and break. This is aluminum, the chance is, let's say, small, but actually it can happen. So you always want to dip it in edible oil like this. And this has to be really like edible oil, I'm not joking, not like machine oil, nothing like this. And this will significantly reduce the chance that something bad could happen. Another thing is that the threading tool obviously must be quite long, and you might get issue to thread with this long type of tool, but I'm gonna start with it. And then I'm gonna change to a more like a drill tool, but hand tool, you will see in a second. And why? Because if I do it with a screwdriver, for example, like handheld, if I screw this, like, you know, all the way, it can end badly. If it's, you know, it's easy to snap it, and when do it by hand, you can really go gently. And obviously you don't want to be extracting a broken steel threading tool from deep in there from your receiver, right? So dipped in oil, I start threading like with this tool because it's more convenient, and then I will switch to different one. And I have the tool that is just one for the whole process. You can buy also these kind of tools that there are like 3 in the set, and then they are marked with some lines. So one line is the first one you should start with, the 2 lines is the second one you use, and the one without any kind of line is the final thread shape, yeah? But in this case I want this long one. This works well for aluminum. Make sure it's sharp. Mine is sharp. It will be okay. So okay, and this is the depth to which I went with the threading tool. So actually this handle was okay. I could rotate it all the way in. And I did not say one more important thing, so I will like remove it a bit, yeah? So never just go like twist, 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 twist this motherfucker and, you know, do it all in one step. Just do a half turn, then half back, and then when the tool starts to catch the thread, just do one full turn, half turn back, yeah? Because you don't want this to be really like jammed. You have to really be careful, you know, the receiver costs money, yeah? So never going into the hole, never do like, you know, all the way in. You generally don't go into the holes all the way in immediately, yeah? You need to do it step by step gently, and like I said, one turn, half a turn back, one turn, half a turn back. It will take more time, but it will be safe. And this one was able to go like all the way in the hole, yeah, but I said that maybe I will need to use a different type of handle, so I'm going to show you what I meant. So this is this different type of handle, because with this, you know, going like this, I will be able to go deeper and have better access. And I have a modified threading tool which basically has the tip filed off, and of course I will dip it in oil, and of course it has to be sharp. And what it will do, it will create just a bit more profile of the thread if I go like this, because you've seen that the previous tool was, you know, with the pointy tip, so it could not even create that whole profile till the end of the hole, yeah, and I cannot do too deep hole because I will drill through the receiver. So very gently I went all the way that the threading tool allowed me. There was practically no resistance because the thread is formed already, but you see I have some debris. In general, if you feel like resistance, you should probably remove the threading tool and clean it like I do right now, not to break it again. And now I will do the same for the second round, talking some boring stories here. The resistance in the hole, so I will go full turn, half turn back, yeah, okay, again full turn, half turn back, and I see that the whole tool was already deep in there, so now I can take it out. I will clean it for the future and we can jump in with our screws. Of course you can also clean the holes, and now just take your conversion, drop in those two M2.5 screws in here, and basically screw it in place, but not all the way in, just you know, to leave it a bit of movement. Okay, and with the screws partially in, you can insert the magazine, which will basically position the conversion to a proper place, and then screw the screws all the way in, and this way you will make sure that, you know, the magazine is not in collision with the conversion, that everything is fine here. And here, with the screws fully tightened, you know, the magazine goes in, no issue, very loose, will be smooth. And now we can take the upper receiver, and the best check for the height is to just assemble it like this, you know, to the bottom receiver. With the lower receiver, we can put this oil aside, of course. The trigger box is not needed, and what you want to look for is the height of the seal here. So if you look on that pushing rod on the nozzle, I don't know if this is nicely visible or not, but in the MWS, what should happen when you move it forward, it should be right above the seal, yeah? So not in the contact with the seal, but not even like 1 millimeter above it, just right over it, yeah, almost on touch. So what could happen is that when you screw in the conversion, maybe it is tilted a little because you didn't secure it completely, or, you know, maybe you have some gun with looser upper receiver, I don't know, maybe it's a little too low. So then you can shim it under that tab with the screws to basically lift it. If you shim it from both sides, it will go up. If you shim it only from the rear, it will go down. Yeah, you can kind of adjust it. But the design of the conversion is done this way that it should not be necessary, yeah? Which you see is not really necessary in my case, so it should be just fine. And I already prepared the trigger box. Like I said, I made the cutout because here I needed it. Intoxicant, I said that here this other half was also complete, but the wall was very thin, so in the Toxicant, you know, it would go all the way to the side. But even without this trigger box, the conversion is well supported, yeah? So this is exactly what the Gen 2 changes. So now I will throw in the trigger box into the gun and assemble everything apart from the mag catch. This is simple, you probably understand how to do it. And then I will show you the trick with the mag catch. The way how I'm gonna handle the mag catch will be kind of similar or identical actually to the fire selector. So because I'm not able to screw it the original way, I will modify it in such a way that I will have the part of the lever coming from the bottom, and then this will just go over it, so there would be no thread, it will just go, you know, on that pin, and then there will be a screw here to screw into the arm to hold this together. So the exact same idea that the fire selector has. As I showed you, there is a screw here. If I unscrew it, I can remove it from the pin. So this is exactly what I need to do for this one, and it's actually similar to VFC Gen 3, because in Gen 3 VFC they have the exact same issue that you are not able to pull in the button of the mag catch into the receiver due to the firing pin retainer part construction. So they do it exactly the same, but there the screw is from the top. In our case, of course, like there is no access from the top to screw it, so we will do it from the side here. And when you are ordering the parts for the MCX for like conversion, of course this screw will be also included. So first step is to drill through this hole to make it not catch on the thread, because right now of course I cannot just simply put this over the pin. In this case, this is 4.3 millimeters thread. I don't know what kind of thread this is, but if I drill through with 4.4 millimeter drill through the hole, it will slide, and you don't want to, you know, go with a too big drill because it will create loss of clearance. Yeah, so try to make it as tight as possible, but sliding over the tip of that pin. So the first step is done. You see, if I take it like this now, I can put it there, and it's not so loose actually. Yeah, of course it will have a little clearance, but the fit is quite nice. So the second step is to take the button again, and now let's drill from this side. So like in the middle of the hole, from the side here, middle of the thickness, I will drill a through hole so I can access it from here. Yeah, so if I look at this shape, I want to do it from the longest, on the longest edge into the round hole. And because this rod is 4.34 millimeters, right, in the diameter, I don't want to weaken it too much, so I will go for the M2.5 headless screw. As I said, it will be included in the kit. However, the thread will be in the rod, yeah, so for the button I just need a straight hole that is the 2.5 millimeters diameter. And remember here that when you are measuring from the face of the button, you need to be careful because the screw has to access it from the side, right? So it's not like you can do it too deep, because then the screw will not go in. So it's better to do it more to the front than to the rear, and always make sure that the dimension you are taking is sufficient for it. So here is the hole. If I put this again, you see I have the access from this side. Drill through this arm from the same side and make the 2.5 thread. And I'm gonna go like a through hole because for threading it will be better. Because threading, you know, the tip of the threading tool and so on, it will barely fit in the dimension of that pin, right? So I will do a through hole. And you know the way to thread already, I won't show it again, yeah, I'll just show the result. You see I have the hole, or maybe you don't see, it's kind of small, but I have the hole, I have the screw prepared. So now the way it goes is the mag catch comes in from this side, then the comes from this side, of course the button, and now let's screw it together. And voila, the mag catch works, it holds, works from this side. Okay, the magazine locks, bolt catch also works, everything is okay. This was the third trick. So what is left is just the trigger guard and the hose connection. As I said in the beginning, the trigger guard was already explained in a separate video. You can watch it. I'll do this kind of modification here right now and be back with just, you know, built gun to show off how awesome it is. And it's done. So this is how it looks like. Converted nicely. All three things were addressed properly. So for the summary, three tricks I had to do in the MCX type gun. One was the trigger guard, which is explained in another video, and here I'm just linking it not to record the same thing all over again. Second thing, this plate here, kind of visible, just above the pin, which needed the cutout for the magazine to be inserted. And the third thing, the modification of the magazine catch. Here the button, instead of being screwed to the lever, is now attached with a screw from the side, like in VFC third generation guns. And that's it. So thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think, and if you want to see how this gun works, then wait for the upcoming Frog Custom video in which it will be featured. And for now, may the power of GBBR be with you.